Good evening world from Nasipit in Butuan. We are just about to board the ferry to go to Bohol. What a mission it has been since the last video we published.
Yeah.
My goodness.
It has been a long slog to get here. And we're very excited to see the boat and actually be getting on it.
It exists. Yeah,
Yeah.
You're excited too? Oh, you're so dark back there. I can't see you at all. What's going on with that? There we go. There you are. You having a little rest?
Because it's a special night.
Why is it a special night?
Because we're going to see the monkey.
Yes, we're going to see the
And
Tarsier.
the last video we took on the boats when we were coming here.
That's right. But how long have we been here, Story, waiting for this boat?
3 days.
Yeah.
Yes. 3 stonking days we've been waiting for this boat.
Yeah, lots has happened in those 3 days.
Lot of story behind that. So basically it was impossible to catch the boat like one after the other in transit.
Yeah.
You have to go to the port, kind of book yourself for the next boat, and the next boat was 3 days away.
Yeah.
So we found somewhere to stay for 3 days, and Story got sick.
She did?
Yes.
She actually was in hospital this morning.
She was hospitalised,
I
yes.
feel like
It's
Well,
true.
you were.
You went to the hospital for the first time. How was your first hospital experience?
They put a needle in me.
Yeah? And what did they take out?
Blood.
Was that your first time having a blood test?
Yeah.
And what did they find out?
They found out I had, what's the sickness called again?
urine infection.
Urine infection.
That's right. So,
I had a wee infection.
yeah, that's the same thing. So basically, you know, we've been here trying to deal with that, and we had lots of plans to kind of just enjoy being here in Butuan while we waited, but just, you know, obviously Story's health came first.
Yeah, we did speak quite a lot about this on our latest weekend vlog over on Patreon. What happened, Story basically had a fever which just wouldn't go, even though she had no other symptoms really, apart from a very slight cold symptom, runny nose, you know, little cough, but anything else she was absolutely fine in herself, so we weren't too worried. But then one night her fever was like 39 degrees, and then it went the next day, so we're like, okay, fine. And then it came back, and it was just the whole thing kept coming and going.
Yeah, it's a
and then,
yo-yo effect, and eventually we ended up, it was a Sunday when we ended up trying to get help from a doctor, and obviously all the doctors are shut, so we ended up in clinics were shut, so we ended up in a hospital, which was the best thing.
Doctor's hospital.
It was the best thing in the end, because they needed to do the blood work, and the blood work was done on the same day. So yeah, all of that aside, we have now finally got the paperwork. We've been at this port now for about what, 2.5 hours? Almost 2.5 hours.
2 hours.
Yeah, just signing all the paperwork, getting Poppy's shipping permit sorted. So if anyone out there is considering doing boat travel with a car and the family and their pet, just know it takes ages to do anything. I'm excited to see what the inside of this boat looks like, because we're going to be on it for about 7 hours. But honestly, after all of the exhaustion of travel, we are probably just going to end up falling asleep in the car.
Yes.
And maybe we'll do a tour of the boat.
Yes.
So just so you can see what it looks like in there, because I've got no clue what this kind of boat looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an overnight. We'll sleep, and then when we wake up in the morning, there'll be our first impressions of Bohol.
Yeah, we should be arriving about 5 AM. I think the boat is due to get into Bohol.
Yes.
So really excited. Like, it's been such a long wait to get there. We almost kind of, what I did halfway through the 3-day stay that shouldn't have really happened, I was just like, oh, should we just go home?
Yes, but I would not give up on this.
Yeah.
So we're doing it, and also we're going to be meeting Grandad Rob and Lola Luz, who have already arrived in the resort.
Yes, I know. We were supposed to be there before them, and then they were going to come and meet us there, but now it's the other way around. My dad and Lola Luz have already arrived. They're checked into the hotel and everything. They're enjoying a nice dinner right now.
I'll check in when we're boarding the boat, and we'll give you a little tour. So if you ever wonder why they ask you to board a boat like 4 hours beforehand, this is why. They told us that the boat was small and couldn't hold too many cars, so that's why we had struggles to get onto the other boat. But there's only 4 cars here and a couple of motorbikes, but this bad boy is the thing that's taking the most time. These guys are manually loading boxes onto pallets here, and then the forklift is taking them onto the ferry. As you can see, it's a very labour-intensive transfer, and it's going to take some time before we can get on the boat. I used to do some work like this when I was younger, working with like loading and offloading, so for me this is a bit confusing. I don't know why they didn't put all of these things on pallets already, so that the forklift could just like take them off and put them straight on the boat. That would make more sense to me. But as long as there's enough space left over for us to put our beast onto the boat, I don't really care. We're not really in a rush. If you're wondering where Poppy is, she is in a crate in the boot of the car. They have to be crated when you travel with a pet. So they're quite strict here. You have to do everything legit. So we've done all of the paperwork and it's taken quite a lot of time. But I'm not going to open the boot and disturb her. I'll open the boot when we get onto the boat, which will be when this forklift is finished loading all of these crates, which I'm trying to work out what's actually in these crates as well. You can see a ton of bananas up there. This is good news. Story is already asleep there in the back. Perfect. Hopefully she'll sleep all night. As we realise we're going to be here for quite some time, we're going to get Poppy out, have a walk around. Your last footsteps on Mindanao, yeah? And then you're going to a new island. Whee. Actually, this will be Poppy's first time leaving Mindanao.
It will.
Yeah, because Siargao is part of Mindanao. So this is a proper tour for you, Poppy. Oh, a little street dog from Siargao. Now you're going island to island.
Island hopping.
Amazing adventures for you, sweetie. Go on, go have a walk. Okay, so this is definitely not what I expected of this trip. When we took our last boat journey, we were allowed to stay inside our car, which felt quite luxurious in a way. But this time around, that is not permitted. So we are actually upstairs with everybody else in these kind of like dorm beds. It feels a little bit like a massive floating hostel. Luckily, they said it was okay to bring Poppy upstairs too, which I'm glad about, because I would have felt very uncomfortable leaving her downstairs, not knowing what the situation was going to be like down there. This is going to feel like a pretty long journey. This is Story's first time sleeping on this kind of boat, and I'm sure she'll be absolutely fine with it. She's actually already fast asleep. Poppy seems to be settling down slowly, but it's taking some time for her to get used to these sounds and motions. You know, she's still a puppy, she's only 1 year old. It's going to take her some time to get used to what life could be like when we travel like this. But having said all this, I don't think we're going to want to book the same return journey. If possible, Sacha and I are going to look at coming back a different way, so that we can try out a different island and possibly come back a little bit more comfortably. First impressions though, not too bad. I mean, it's fairly clean around here. There's a breeze coming through and you've even got charging ports for your phone, which is something I wasn't expecting. And not all of the ports are taken, which is quite rare considering at airports they're normally jam-packed. I was actually planning on sneaking back down to see if it was possible to get back to the lower deck and into the car, but it's not. It's actually completely blocked off and it does smell a bit like fumes down here, so it's probably not safe, which is my rule upstairs. Look who's hitchhiking a ride on this boat. This is a massive moth. Look at the size of it compared to my head. My brother Kamal would absolutely freak out if he saw this. Let's check it out. There's the size of my hand, and that is the size of the moth. It's huge. Sacha and I just had a brief chat before I came down here, and we think that we're going to stay a little bit longer in Bohol because this journey has proven to be quite long in the end. You know, we didn't plan for things to go so wrong. Obviously you never do, but now that we know what's involved in getting ourselves over to that island, we think that we should stay to make it worth it. Really make the most of bringing the car, because bringing the car on these boats is really expensive. It actually cost us about 8,500 pesos in total to get our car onto this boat. So the fact that you're not allowed to rest in it, you have to sleep upstairs with everybody else in like the dorm beds, and then for us to shoot off after a few days and not really experience the island would be a bit of a waste. So this might be a blessing in disguise. We might get to see a lot more of the Philippines than we even planned to, but these are all positive things. Walking back up to the top deck now. You excited to see me? Oh my goodness. Did you miss me? It's only gone for a few seconds. She's been whining.
No, she's been watching.
Look at her. Yes, I love you too. It's so sweet to see Poppy and Story fully asleep on the boat. It's good to know that they can just get into a comfort zone here and just adapt to whatever environment we're in. Right now we just had no kind of clue what kind of boat this was going to be. It was all a bit of a surprise when we got on board. And of course for Poppy, she's never been in a situation like this. She's only 1 year old. She was born in Siargao Island and now she's travelling with us. And it feels a bit like a sign to me, like our dreams are coming true. We're actually doing it and that excites me. Feeling a bit rough, I didn't actually get any sleep. But as you can see, the sun is starting to rise and we are almost there. Not sure how much of this you're going to be able to hear, it's really loud. I'm standing next to an exhaust or something. I think we've probably got another 30 minutes until we get there. Interestingly, we've had internet the whole way, so I've been able to track most of this journey on Google Maps. Poppy's awake now, she's got her eyes on me. I was thinking that the initial disappointment of not being able to sit in our car and ride out most of this journey in some kind of comfort is in a way tainting the actual experience that we're having right now. But in the end, I'm actually glad that we came up here and slept up here too, because this is the way that Sacha and I used to travel when we were younger, and it's good for a Story to experience travel in this way too, because it wasn't that bad. It was actually quite comfortable in the end, and ultimately this is why we live in the Philippines. This kind of experience just simply doesn't exist in our regular lives, and that's why we left the UK, and that's why we left that regular life. We were always seeking something a little bit more exotic, something a bit more crazy, something chaotic, and you get that here. I feel like perhaps because of the pandemic and not travelling for so long, we've fallen into a bit of a comfort zone, and it's taken some time for us to break free of that and get used to doing this kind of thing regularly or just as part of our journey across the Philippines. We've definitely grown accustomed to a kind of a comfort zone, and for the first time in a long time I feel like we've really been forced out of it in a good way. And I've had to remind myself that these are the things that you're going to talk about, these are the stories you're going to tell. Just getting out of your comfort zone and doing something a little bit different. And we're on the island of Bohol, here to see the monkeys, here to see Grandad Rob, here to see Lola Luz, here to see a new place in the Philippines. Are you excited, everyone?
Yeah. I am, yeah. I was just about to say, I'm very excited. I'm happy to be here.
They have a swimming pool.
Yes, yes.
There is a swimming pool, yeah.
Now, we didn't realise how much of a drive it was going to be to get there. I actually think it's going to be between 3 and 4 hours, according to the guys. But
oh, the guy on the boat just now said 4 hours.
yeah, I don't think it's going to be that long.
When I looked on Google the other day, it said 1.5.
Yeah,
so.
the port that we've arrived at is on the other side of the island, basically. So it's just part of the adventure, and we are going to film that, but we'll do it in a different vlog because this one has turned out to be quite long. So I hope you guys have enjoyed it, and we will see you in the next video.
Bye.
Bye.